Welcome back to Rise and Tell with Sheekha. I am Sheekha Singh, your host and author. I have got something special to share. My brand new book, Unburnable Ambition, How Overachievers Win Without Burning Out, is coming on Jan 5th, 2026. This book is for all of us who dream big but refuse to let burnout be the price. If you'd like early chapter, preview, and launch bonuses, head to shikhasingh.com/unburnableambition and sign up today. Now let's dive into today's episode. Our guest for today has gone through a lot. Her personal journey was nothing but demanding and transformational. Neena Perez is a transformational coach, author, and a motivational speaker. She is also a podcast host. She has a deep personal journey that was marked by overcoming abuse, domestic violence, teen pregnancy, divorce, and poverty. But Neena did not let any of these stop her. She transformed her life through faith and resilience. Her story was really inspiring. She is the author of the book, Hit Me With Your Best Shot. And she shares the hard-earned lessons that now fuel her mission to empower other women. Through her Wisdom to Wealth program, Neena guides a lot of women on this transformational journey of self-discovery and shifting mindsets and building businesses and sustainable habits. I had a lot of fun talking to Neena Perez, and she gave some amazing tips on burnout and self-worth. Without further ado, let's just get started. So there we go, everybody. Today we have with us Neena Perez. Neena, welcome to our show.
Thank you so much for having me here. I'm really excited to get into this conversation.
Absolutely. All right, let's just dive right in, Neena. I was impressed after I watched and read your profile, and I also listened to a few episodes of your podcast. You are a podcast host. You are an author. So tell us, Neena, what is your story?
Wow, my story goes deep. So I think some of my anchor moments in my story is, being a teen mom at 15 years old. I survived domestic violence. I had a lot of trauma in my life and poverty. And then, but since I was a little girl, I've always wanted to be a chef, which is interesting, right? I always just wanted, I think that was my safe haven. I got into medical assisting, then culinary and all that after, surviving the domestic violence. And then, I went back to college as an adult. I think I was like 35 when I went back to college, and I decided to go after my dreams from when I was a little girl and become a chef. And then I became a culinary expert. I've been doing that close to 20 years now.
Oh, wow.
And also got into writing my own book and podcast and faith and all the things that all of us women do, right? We have like 50 things we always have to do. And so I realized that the only way for me to move forward in life and to accomplish the things I wanted to was start to look inside of me and what was going on inside of me, because I was very successful in all of my careers and everything that I did, but I never felt connected. And I always felt like, why am I working 50, 60, 70 hours a week? And it was that self-worth piece, right? Just always trying to feel like I was worthy of something. So that's how my story started. It started pretty rough, but once my book came out and I realized how many people were using it in their book clubs and things like that, and talking to me about how it transformed them and freed them to speak about things that have happened in their life that was traumatic, I realized, well, maybe I have a voice. And so the podcast grew from there, and business grew from there, and so on. And that's me in a nutshell.
That is awesome. That takes a lot of strength and a lot of courage to face all that and then come out of it the other side and then share your story with thousands and thousands of people, Neena. So kudos to you for doing that. And I want to know more about the book. Tell us what the book is all about.
The book is just my autobiography, really. I'm thinking of writing a second book to kind of give more in-depth tools and tips on how to transform your life, because that was really, the book was written I thought at first was just for me, my cathartic experience. I cried a lot through the book and just wanted to heal from a lot of hurt. And I realized that when I went to publish the book, I was like, my family will probably never speak to me again. And my mother will probably never talk to me again. Is it worth it? And I wrestled with that for a little bit. And then I realized, no, it is worth it because it's the truth. And it's also my story and I get to tell it, so I published it. And it's true. My family was mad at me and my mother did not speak to me for a good 8 months or so. She was furious, but it also healed us, and I realized that, the book, is just a story about a young girl who's gone through a lot of things, but also has triumphant things too, and it goes through parenting and divorce and abortions and what that meant to me and faith and like the whole thing. So it's like a whole roller coaster of a journey. It was very interesting. I didn't, think people would say that, but they were like, Neena, there was moments where I was just there with you and I was crying and then I was mad and then I was happy and then I was pissed. so it was like all the things, right? It's called Hit Me With Your Best Shot. It's kind of a play on words because life hit me pretty hard,
Correct. Yeah. Wow. That's impressive to be able to get the reader to feel what you were feeling while you were writing it or even going through it again when you were putting those words on paper. I think that's really powerful. You were talking about self-worth, Neena. Tell me, when was that pivotal moment in your life when you decided, okay, I really need to change things for myself and I really need to stop playing the victim here and then go get things done? When was that for you?
I think it was more of a journey than a moment, right? I think it's more of those things where you keep hitting a wall and it hurts. You keep hitting the same wall. Like, why am I still hitting the same stupid wall? But I realized that life has to be more than this. Life has to be more than this. And I think it was those moments of desperation. I was also having suicide thoughts and, just like, why am I even here? And then I was going through depression and victimization. And my ex-husband had left me for a younger, thinner model, like all the things. Right. And so I was like, this can't be life, and I started to go in through this self journey of discovering what that means for me and how do I become a better mother and a better person and not so angry and bitter and victimized all the time. And faith actually played a big part in that for me because finding God was a big shift in my life. And I was able to go into a deep prayer and just release it all. I just remember the day I released it, I was like, okay, right now I'm going to give it. I'm just going to give it up. I can't do this anymore because I was waking up with anxiety every day and, it was just too much. And I was like, God, I don't want this. So I just gave it up. I just said, I'm not going to do it anymore. And I actually remember that as a shift that happened because I realized that I didn't feel depressed. One day and then 2 days and then 3 days. And then what happened was I almost didn't know who I was without it.
Wow.
Who am I without being a victim, without being depressed, without being anxious? Who the heck am I? And that's when the self-discovery stuff started, right? Because that's when you realize, oh, I'm shedding off the old so I can become the new. But what the heck is the new?
Right.
And I think that's a lifelong journey. I'm still going through that, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
And, I really like the fact that you were bold enough to write things in your book about your family, even though you knew that things would not turn out well and some relationships might be stained. I feel like as women, we tend to get that, feel like we have those responsibilities on our shoulders that we have to carry everybody and walk with everyone, even though sometimes relationships and our own family can be toxic.
Yeah.
But we don't want to face that. I want to ask you, Neena, what gave you that strength when you decided that, you know what, I'm not going to, yes, people are going to be mad. My own family is going to be mad, but I'm doing this for me.
Mm-hmm.
What gave you the strength to do that?
I think it really was a lot of prayer. And also through the discovery of writing, I realized that I never put me first. And, because I was writing, I was realizing, I was neglected by my father, molested by my stepfather, neglected by my mother. My family was rejecting me all the time. Like I realized it was always against me. And I'm like, well, what about me?
Yeah.
And I think that's what happened. Like all of the things, and I was almost murdered by my son's father, and like all of these things that were really traumatic in my life, and no one helped me. And I was like, why am I protecting the truth of people who never protected me?
Yeah.
Right. So then when I went to write, when I was going to publish the book, I'm like, God, if this helps one person, then I believe that I'm doing what you've asked me to do. Right. And so I'm like, if I help one person, it'll outbeat any of my family ever speaking to me again. That's the attitude I had.
Yeah.
And I always had that survival attitude anyway, because I had to survive.
Correct.
And when, that's, I think, one thing that people can take away, that maybe you've been through a lot of stuff, but the whole point is that word through, meaning you are a survivor. And you can you've actually overcome more things than you have given yourself credit for. And that's the shift that happened to me. I realized that I don't have to be a victim of somebody who tried to murder me, somebody who molested me, somebody who neglected me, somebody who put me down. And so when I realized that, I'm like, I'm doing this for me. And if everybody likes it, too damn bad for them. Like that was my attitude. Was I scared? Yes, but I did it anyway, because I do things afraid in my life. I've had to. And that has served me well. So I've always taken all the stories of the trauma in my life and I flip it on its head. It's no longer me being the victim, but what did I learn through it and how do I overcome?
Amazing. Amazing. This was one of the reasons why I wanted you as a guest on my show, Neena, is just that zeal that you have and that passion that shows in your writing and everything that you do, that you know what, you didn't give an F about anything. Nope. And you just came out on the other side. And I've seen people like that. You have gone through a lot. So I'm not even going to compare your journey to anybody, but like I've seen a sliver of it in my mom. She had us when me and my sister, I think she had me when she was 17, I think. And then she had my sister when she was 19 or 18 and a half, I guess, whatever. Yeah. And my dad passed away when I was 5 years old and my sister was 3. And so I kept, like when we grew up, I asked her, I'm like, Mom, why didn't you, you could have gone the other way. What made you just keep going? And she's like, there's no use of sitting back and just crying over things that happen. Nobody would come and feed you guys if I didn't get up after 10 days. And if I took that grief and I just went out in the world with no experience, no qualifications, the only thing in my head was I needed to feed you guys. And that's it. And she gave us great education and now she's like traveling the world. She's in that era of hers.
I love it.
Like, yeah. And I'm like, don't you think you need to like calm down for a little bit? And she's like, no way.
No way.
Yeah.
She earned this. She earned it.
Exactly. She turned 51 and I'm asking her, she just finished she celebrated her 50th birthday on a Europe trip with her sister.
Go mom.
Yeah. And then this year again, she was in Italy and then she came here to Canada to visit me. And again, she's, I think, planning another trip to Croatia or something in September or November. I'm like, chill out. And she goes, I'm just getting started.
Yes, that's right. I'm 52. So I totally get her, because you do feel like you're just getting started, because my children are older now, right? They're 36 and 31. And so they're already grown, doing their thing, have their families and doing the whole thing. So I understand her, because it's like, I had to do what I had to do to make sure my babies got fed and had a roof over their head and were raised properly, and all of the hard stuff that we now as young mothers had to put our whole youth on hold. That's why I went back to college at 30. I went to college at 35, not back to. I never got to go to college because I had my son at 15 years old.
Wow.
So I'm totally with your mom. Go freaking mom. I'm excited for her.
Yeah. Well, but I should say kudos to you. And I'm so proud. I feel so proud when I see her and when I see women like you, who've gone through so many hurdles and obstacles, but now you guys like own everything up and you all stand for yourself. And I seriously wish more and more moms taught their daughters the exact same thing or their children, because that is so important. I see so many women out there who are young, who have kids, again, super young, but they lack that confidence and that strength. And somehow at the end of the day, they end up having that victim attitude. Again, I'm not blaming them. It's easy because, that's the easiest way and that easiest path to choose when you've faced something very serious. But again, they're like so timid and they're so shy. But when I see women like you and my mom, y'all are completely different.
We're a different generation too.
Right.
Yeah. I think the victim mentality is because of everything we're fed in social media and in the mainstream media. It's like, you must be a victim. Oh, poor you. No. Like we need to be encouraging ethics and hard work and morals and strength and going out there and go-getterness. Go get your thing. Go do what you want to do instead of, oh, poor you. You know what? We're going to build a system that's going to make you, better. No. And even, I grew up impoverished, right? So, but I always worked and I've seen what it looks like for people who live off, let's say, the system, welfare system and stuff like that. I don't know if you are you familiar with all that? Like the welfare system? Okay. So, and I think it's necessary for people who need it for a short amount of time. But when people live off of that system, and I've known many because I was born and raised in the projects with my mom on the system and the whole thing. And the thing is I've realized that stole away our identity and it stole from us the hard work it takes to go ahead and go get your thing. Yeah. And in especially in the US, like I really feel like almost all of my friends who are immigrants here have all businesses. They own houses. They own property. They own all this stuff. And I'm like, I ask them all the time, I'm like, oh, yeah, what made you do that? Well, in my country, I didn't have that, but here I had an opportunity. Right. And what makes me sad sometimes is when I see people who are born here, natives here, don't have that same drive and attitude. Yeah. Right. Exactly. So I think you're right about the victim mentality, but I think it's something we're being fed all the time. That's why your voice is important when you're having a podcast, because you are having people listen. Correct. And they will take notes, because I do. I listen to podcasts and I take notes, and there are billions of people listening to podcasts right now. It's insane. Yeah.
Exactly. And you never know who you're going to meet or who you're going to affect. You might not have cannot be like the Joe Rogan podcast or Mel Robbins out there, but still, even if that one person listens to your story and gets inspired, I think that makes your day. And that's what matters at the end of the day.
It does. And stop worrying about who is liking your stuff or who is, stop. And the reason I say that is because even I'll look out because I like long form content. So I watch things that are 30 plus minutes. That's just how my style of listening. And when I do that, sometimes I'll listen to the whole podcast. I'm like, whoa, that was so good. And then I move on to another thing. Forgot to press forgot to press follow. That doesn't mean that I didn't enjoy it. And that's why I tell people, stop looking at the metrics of this. And I know for business, it can be important, but we have to stop thinking that that's the most important thing. Yeah. This, what you and I are doing is the most important thing, is having a really honest, authentic conversation that somebody can get something out of. Right?
Agreed. 100%. Yeah. Neena, you're also a life coach. So I want to ask you, what's the most common issue that you have to coach people on or that you notice among women these days?
Wow, there's a lot of them, but one of them is not having clarity in what they want to do because they have too many things. And so they get discouraged, right? So a lot of women who come to me are professionals in their fields and they want to build their own coaching businesses or service-based businesses to kind of like transition out of like that corporate into their own. But they have a lot of imposter syndrome. They don't think they're good enough, right? And then but I know how to do this. I know how to talk about leadership, but I also know how to sew and I know how to cook and I know how to, and I'm like, okay, but which one do you want to do? Well, I like all of them. I'm like, yeah, let's get down to the foundations here, right? Because we all like all of them. Even I right now, I'm in a big transition in my business and in my life because I burnt out. I got tired. I was like, I can't even like focus anymore. So I'm going back to my love, which is culinary and the kitchen. And I am now going to be coaching women through what life and everything, but through cooking. And I'm going to, it's actually in the process right now of being recorded and edited and all that. And it's going to be called The Purpose-Filled Kitchen. And it's a kitchen where I'm going to have hopefully guests. I already have some guests that came over. They're going to come over. They're going to cook with me. Then we're going to go outside and have deep conversations. And I also have a coaching program because, that is the biggest thing I see now is we have lost our identity because we are following other people's identity and think that that should be our identity. Yeah. Right. And so if I look at your podcast and think, oh, I got to do everything like you do, then where's Neena?
Correct.
Like that is a big issue right now. And it's because everybody's lying to you online, telling you that you'll become rich in 30 days. And then you go and you spend all of your money to go get rich in 30 days. It doesn't happen. Now you think you're not good enough. You're not smart enough. You're not capable. And none of those things are true. What happened is that you got caught up in envy. They learned how to manipulate you. They learned the right words. And now you are subscribed to something that's going to make you rich in 30 days. And it's not, guys. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen. Right.
Exactly. Let's talk about burnout. You brought up a very good point, Neena. And again, I feel this doesn't just apply to women. I feel it applies to everybody these days.
Oh, yeah.
I know women, especially because we tend to take on more and we have our own mental to-do list and we want to be the best mom, the best wife, the best sister, the best everything. And so we add stuff to our to-do list and we create those standards for ourselves despite just saying, no, this is not a priority for me right now. So about burnout, what are some of the things that anybody can apply today? Your favorite tips that they can apply today to even recognize, one, that they're being burned out, and second, to avoid it?
Yeah. Oh, that's so good. Okay. So there's a couple of things that I love to do now that have regulated my life and helped the women that are in my program. So one of the things is we do like a mapping, like a chart, right? On a spreadsheet where we pick one main goal. I don't care if it's weight loss, spend time more with family. It doesn't matter. One main goal. And then 3 habits that we need to change to accumulate that goal. So for me, I've been working on my weight loss, right? So it's weight loss and then it's walking 20 minutes, stretching every morning, journaling my progress. Right. And that's all I'm focusing on. And then if you want to do it for business, then do it that way. What is it that you want to do? You want to do outreach? Okay. I want to do outreach. So maybe you contact 3 people, like 3 posts, get 3 comments in, something like that, 3 invitations to your program. Very simple, because we overcomplicate everything. That is an issue. Everything has to be like 20. Like I gave the spreadsheet to one of the women in my group who is very ambitious. And of course she had like 20 habits she wants to change. I'm like, okay, can we pick the top 3, And she's like, but and she was afraid to let things go. And I'm like, this is why you're burnt out, because you think that you have to burn yourself out in order to feel better, in order to feel like you're worth something. Right. But the truth is you only need like 1 or 2 main things and 2 to 3 things tops. Let's do that for the next couple of weeks. Not more than that. right? And so another thing I want you all to recognize is the rhythm of your life. And what I mean by that is people don't recognize that we all have like a rhythm within our life. Like there are months where we are killing it. And if you notice, that's probably every year. It's those months that you're killing it. And then there's months where you're just like, I'm tired. I'm low. I'm relaxing, right? Sometimes people will do it with the seasons. Like summers are usually more relaxed, but some people summers are really amped up. So I would really ask you to stop for a second. And I mean this, pause. And I know some people are afraid of pause, but freaking pause, y'all. Okay. Just pause. Like the women, there's two women. They are very successful in their business, but they got tired. And I'm like, can we pause for a minute? They're like, I can do that. I'm like, yes, permission granted. Let's pause. And now they are on fire. They took like a week or two to literally do nothing. They just paused. And they were like, Neena, I cannot believe that I needed that. Right?
Yeah.
But we all need that. Why do you think even jobs give you those 2 weeks vacation or those whatever weeks that you earned? Because they know that at some point you're going to hit a wall and you're going to need a pause. Now for yourself, you're going to have to do that. And if that means I want to spend more time with my spouse, with my children, with my family, whatever, take a pause, take a breath. I promise you the world will not collapse. Okay. The world will not collapse. And that's how you actually start to regulate yourself through a burnout. Now, what's a burnout? You're not sleeping well. You're tossing and turning. You're thinking about your business or your thing all the time. You're waking up with it on your mind. You're going to sleep with it on your mind. And now you're crying for no reason. You don't even know why you're crying. You're irritated because people piss you off. You're cursing people out in traffic because you have no patience. Those are like little signs that you're going to start to see that are creeping up. Maybe you're not eating as well as you were, or you're eating very terribly and you're feeling like crap. All of these things can be signals of a burnout happening. Yeah. So I really believe that that's something, you, me, everybody listening has got to get together. Don't worry about social media. And if you're listening to a lot of news and crap, stop it. Just stop it. It's all theatrics. It is all to get you riled up and angry because it's all emotion based. Stop listening to the shit. Just go ahead and read like the top headlines and move on.
Yeah.
Like that's it.
That's awesome. Exactly. Love it. Love those tips. And I also feel like the habits that you mentioned about Neena, all those habits have to be sustainable in the long run.
Yeah.
Because if you keep doing things that just because, you want to take it off the list or you want to be the best at something, or you want to show people that, yes, I can do this, this, and that. At the end of the day, you're going to be burnt out because it's not sustainable in the long run and your body couldn't handle it and your mind couldn't handle it. And that's where the pause comes into picture because you will be forced in one way or the other to just take rest and then calm down.
Yeah. I used to always say, I'll rest when I die. I'll rest when I die. And that's just such a terrible mentality because what that means is I'm just going to work myself to death. Like, what is that? Right. Yeah. But most of us don't think about it. We don't think about what that means to just, and I mean, seriously pause. I don't mean just like, deep breath and move on. I mean, like seriously turn off the computer, maybe at 3:00, maybe go do something else with your family. Just stay away from the system for a little bit. Maybe if you can hire somebody to help you with your emails or something, any little thing like that will help you regroup your life because at the end of the day, if you do not pause, like you just said, one way or another, and that means you can be very sick.
Yep.
And that's the way you have to be forced to pause.
Correct.
Because now you're in a bed somewhere because you're super sick and you can't even look at your computer. Well, guess what? Your body just made you forcefully pause. And that's happened to me. So, yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah, exactly. True. 100% true. I agree with everything that you mentioned. And those were some great tips, Neena. Okay. Before we end, I want to ask you, what is your biggest advice for someone who's going through a tough time, but doesn't have the strength to either face it or to even do something outside of it or to come out shining on the other side?
Yeah. As you're saying that, I'm like, I feel it in my body, right? Because it's something that I've gone through. And one thing I'll say is you don't have to fight through it. First of all, let's stop the word fight, right? Because that just means you have to expel more energy on something that you don't have the energy for. Right. So I will say, like, look at the situation logically instead of emotionally, and then ask yourself, okay, logically, what is it that I actually can control here? Because sometimes we cannot control everything.
Right.
Right. And so as you're going through it, just really ask yourself, what can I control? All I can control right now is literally getting up to use the bathroom and going back to bed. Okay. Do that. Right. Because sometimes we have gotten hit with a lot of heavy things. I remember this one woman who came to my practice or to my coaching program and was like, Neena, she was struggling because her daughter had died in a car accident 5 years prior. And she was really struggling with this. And every day she was waking up with it on her mind, every night, on her mind. And her whole day was struggling. And so while she was talking at the end of it, I said, can you tell me one good thing that came out of this? Well, she was pissed off. She yelled and screamed at me. I cannot believe you asked me such a stupid question, blah, blah, blah. Hung up the call. Oh, okay. She's mad, So like 2 weeks later, she comes back and she's like, I need to set up an appointment with you. I'm like, oh boy, she's going to curse me out again. Mm-hmm. So we made the appointment and she was like, for 2 weeks, I was so pissed off at you. I was so pissed off. I'm like, I know. And she's like, but I realized that the question was, what good can come out of this? And what I realized is I was holding my daughter in the space of the tragedy and never in the space of her beauty and the strength and her tenacity and what she did in the world. And she ended up taking that situation, pulling out all the good. And now she talks to high schools about drunk driving and all those kind of things. And she has changed lives. So I will say to people, what you're going through right now is going to be your biggest victory later.
Correct.
So just sit in it and it's okay. It's okay to cry. It's okay to be pissed off. It's okay to punch a wall if you need to. Watch it though. That hurts your hand, but just be careful. And I will say that you will get through this. This too shall pass. If you look at your whole life, you know that situations you've gone through and you've gone through that key word again, because you will not be there again a year from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now. So just sit in it, feel it to heal it, and understand that there is a tomorrow. You will get through this.
Wonderful. Beautifully said. Yeah. Feel it to heal it. Yeah. Love it. Love that. Thank you so much, Neena. It's been a pleasure having you on our show. And thank you for taking our time and helping us with some amazing suggestion and inspiring a lot of us today. Thanks a lot.
Oh, I'm so grateful to be here. Thank you for this space that you've created.
Of course. Thanks so much, Neena. I hope you've learned a thing or two from this episode. Just do one thing. If you loved this episode, hit the share button. Share it with someone who you feel is going to be inspired by this story. And don't forget to check out the other episodes. Thank you for tuning in for today's episode of Rise and Tell with Sheekha. My upcoming book, Unburnable Ambition, is all about how to chase your biggest goals without losing yourself to burnout. You can now sign up at sheekasingh.com/unburnableambition for early access and launch updates. Until next time, keep growing, keep glowing, and be yourself, and keep your ambition unburnable. Thank you.